My life be like, ooh, yeah, ooh. My life be like, ooh, yeah, ooh.
Hello, and welcome back to Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar, and I'm coming at you from the 256. In this video, I just wanted to give a quick recap of Week 14 in the NFL. So let's go ahead and get to it. Last Thursday, you had the Derrick Henry Show. Obviously his biggest game of his career, the biggest game in Titans Oilers history for rushing yards. It was the Derrick Henry Show all night long. The second 99-yard touchdown in NFL history. He's only the second one to ever do that. And that's pretty much all you have to say. On one touchdown, he stiff-armed four guys. One guy got two stiff arms and thrown to the ground. It really summed up that game. He touched the ball 17 times, had 238 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He scored all the touchdowns for the Titans himself. The Jags got a safety on a blunder by the Titans return man, and they got a touchdown when it didn't matter. They wanted to pump out their chests and act like they were big and bad when they're down by 21 points in the game. So it didn't matter at that point. It was all Derrick Henry. That's all you really need to know. Just look up Derrick Henry versus Jaguars, and you'll have all that you want to see from a running back in an NFL game. But Titans, they stomp out the Jags. Surprised they stomped them out the way they did. I expected Tennessee to win, but the way they did it through Derrick Henry, nobody really would have thought was coming the way that his season is gone. But next we can move on to the Jets and Bills. Just two bottom feeders in the AFC East. Two of the not so great teams, obviously, in the AFC in general. The Jets got it done on the road, 27-23. Josh Allen, he has over 300 yards rushing over the last 3 games. Something Michael Vick didn't even do as a rookie. Most rushing yards over a 3-game span, I believe it was. It is what he did. But anyway, 90-plus yards, as it says right there. In 3 straight games, the Jets beat the Bills in a game that really doesn't mean much to anybody's season. Next, you had the ever so slumping Panthers. They were 6-2. Now they've dropped 5 in a row. It is crazy how their season has gone down, but McCaffrey has picked it up. McCaffrey has played amazing, but they're still losing football games. They've lost 5 in a row. The Browns, they got taken down by the Browns. Baker Mayfield looks good. Nick Chubb. Fantasy-wise, Nick Chubb's a top 10 running back in the NFL because he's had some big games. But Chubb, running back of the future for the Browns. Baker Mayfield, he looks good moving forward for the Browns. 5-7-1. Some early season games they let get away. They could very well be fighting for a playoff spot now. But young team, things happen. But the Browns, they take down the Panthers, keep the Panthers on that terrible, terrible slump. 26-20. Next, you had 2 other teams that really aren't playing for much anymore at this point. The Falcons, Matt Ryan's having statistically a better year than his MVP year, but they just cannot beat anybody. Can't keep people out of the end zone. They sit at 4-9 now. Aaron Rodgers had his best game of the season. He's only thrown 1 pick to this point in the season as well. But it was the first game without McCarthy. Aaron Rodgers goes off, has his best game of the year. Aaron Jones, they found a running back. It's not just a rotating, revolving door. Aaron Jones looks like the guy of the future for the Green Bay Packers. The Falcons, Julio Jones putting up unseen numbers. He's putting up numbers that could possibly break records this season. But it doesn't matter. The team can't get anything done. Packers beat down on the Falcons 34-20. The next game here, I picked this game to be the upset of the weekend. I said Texans would lose their 9-game win streak, and they did. Andrew Luck, what he's doing for that team. The defense plays hard. Eric Ebron, risen from the dead. Everybody thought he was probably done for. And then he goes to the Colts, and he's one of the tops in the leagues. The guy's a touchdown machine this year. The Texans, they still hold a huge, strong grasp on the division. But the Colts and Titans in Week 17 could decide a playoff spot as long as those two keep winning moving forward. But the Texans' 9-game winning streak fell. Andrew Luck got back on track after that terrible game against Jacksonville. Colts, they knock off the Texans, and they're now above 500. At 7-6, but they take down the Texans in that win streak at 24-21. Bud Light, brought to you by Bud Light. I'm just kidding. But next you had the Ravens and Chiefs. The Ravens had this game in their hands, and they gave up a late drive to the Chiefs to tie it. And then the Chiefs got the job done in overtime, 27-24. Chiefs, by doing so, they clinched a playoff berth. We all know they have the Chargers right on their heels for the division, but the Chiefs, they have locked up a playoff spot. They will be in the playoffs this season. The Ravens, they had their chances. Obviously, they had the lead late. Lamar Jackson looks like the guy for them now. He plays well enough. He does well enough. He's not lighting up the stat sheet or anything, but they're winning football. That was the first loss with Lamar Jackson as the starting quarterback, and it's a loss that you can't hold against him. The Chiefs, we know who they are this year with Mahomes. Andy Reid maybe bringing home his first Super Bowl title as a coach. But we'll see. We'll have to see how Mahomes holds up in the playoffs. But Chiefs, they come back. They get the job done against the Ravens 27-24. Next, you had the Miami Miracle. That's pretty much all you have to say. Back and forth game, close game. The Patriots kicked that field goal late to go up by 6. And then the Dolphins ran the one play with 2 laterals to Kenyon Drake. And Kenyon Drake took it to the house. Rob Gronkowski looked like Tom Brady does in the open field, trying to make that tackle. He ain't catching Kenyon Drake, sorry. And as soon as Drake broke past those first couple of defenders and got in the open field, there was no way Gronk was stopping him. Obviously, fluke play, one of those plays we'll never see again. It was the longest play to win a game with no time left on the clock in NFL history. Play that we may never see again. We'll see plays like it, but nothing exactly like that. But the Dolphins, they steal one away from the Patriots at home. The Patriots, they all their losses have come on the road this season. They haven't lost at home. I believe that's still the way it is. I apologize if I'm wrong, but I believe that's still all the Patriots' losses have come on the road. Patriots are still probably going to have a home playoff game. They're still sitting at 9-4, and they're still the New England Patriots. You lose games in the NFL. That's just what happens. You don't win them all. The Dolphins 7-6. They stay in the playoff hunt by taking one away from the Patriots at home. Dolphins 34-33 with the Miami Miracle, with Kenyon Drake scoring the game-winning touchdown with no time left on the clock. Next, you had the Saints and the Bucks. Saints got back on the winning train. They clinched the division title with a 28-14 win over the Saints. The Bucks started out hot real quick, scored a touchdown on their first drive, but they fizzled out like they have at times this season. Still lead the league in total passing yards as a team, but they turned the ball over a lot. They had a punt blocked in this game. And the Saints, they just did what they do, and that's win football games. They won 28-14. The Redskins, it would be interesting to see where they were if they still had Alex Smith as their quarterback. Obviously, losing him and possibly his career being over after surgeries and catching an infection. And he's had 6 surgeries at this point, and there's probably more. And he's had infection issues. So hopefully he can get back and playing for the Redskins. But it doesn't look so great right now. But the Redskins quarterback situation, period, looks bad. They've been playing several different people. And the Giants, they were up 40-0 in this game. The Giants, they finally settled down, got things rolling a little bit. Odell Beckham Jr. didn't play in this game. Saquon Barkley, he's fantasy next year. He's probably going to be the number 1 pick. He's caught over 80 passes this year. He's got over 1,000 rush yards. He could be 1,000 and 1,000 guy. He could possibly be that. Barkley is phenomenal. Great pick at number 2. He's still a home run hitter, but he can carry the ball 20 times a game. And he can catch out of the backfield. It's amazing what he's been able to do. It's going to be amazing seeing what he can do moving forward in his career. But they were up 40-0 in this game at one point. They got the Titans this week, and the Redskins scored 16 points when it didn't matter anymore. And the Giants improved to 5-8 and dropped the Redskins 40-16. Next, you had the Bengals and Chargers. A much closer game than I would have thought. I know the Chargers don't really have a home field advantage, but the Bengals. Andy Dalton on the IR, he's done. Their defense, one of the worst in the league, if not the worst. The Chargers, they've won 9 out of 10 at this point. That lone loss in those 10 games coming to the Broncos. And their other 2 losses, like I've said 100 times, are the Rams and the Chiefs. They get the Chiefs again this Thursday, so we'll see who's going to grab a hold of that division. The Chargers, they obviously lost the first time, so it'd be split 1 game apiece. Say the Chargers win, but it's going to be a phenomenal game on Thursday night. Phillip Rivers having a career year. Their defense is nasty. They can just get 4 guys and disrupt you when they're healthy. Much closer game than I expected, but the Chargers, they still won. That's all you got to do is win the football game, and that's what they did, 26-21. Next one surprised me. I know the Broncos, they lost their number 1 receiver, Emmanuel Sanders, to Achilles tear. Terrible news out of Denver there. Their defense is still a good defense, but the 49ers jumped on them early, and that's all they needed. It was 20-0 at halftime, and that's all the 49ers needed to win. Kittle has been so surprisingly really consistent for the 49ers. He's been the safety valve. He's been the guy that has really helped the 49ers move through this process. Yes, they're 3-10. That was their 3rd win. But George Kittle has been very consistent for them, and he should be pretty good moving forward, especially when they get Jimmy G back. He's been great. It was the George Kittle show. He had over 200 yards receiving as a tight end in this game. And with an early 70-yard touchdown, I believe it was, long touchdown. But the 49ers, they pick up their 3rd win and knock off the Broncos in surprising fashion. I did not expect the 49ers to win, but they take down the Broncos 20-14. The Lions, 5 wins. These are usually the games they've been losing this year, and then they only kind of show up when they're playing somebody good. And then sometimes they still don't show up when they're playing somebody good. But Fitzgerald, most receptions with a single team in NFL history. That's the only bright spot for the Cardinals out of this game. The Lions, they win 17-3. The Cardinals going to be one of the top picks in the draft next year. The Lions, they won't be a whole lot further behind. But the Lions, they beat the Cardinals in Arizona 17-3. Next, you had the Eagles and the Cowboys. What a game. Amari Cooper, number 1 pick, not looking so bad for the Cowboys, giving up that number 1 pick to the Raiders. Got him out of that situation, got him into a better one, and they give him the football. They throw the ball to Amari Cooper. It's been amazing to see what he has done since he got there. 217 yards, 3 more touchdowns against the Eagles. He and Dak are great together. Dak can throw the ball and rely on Amari coming down with the ball. Obviously, they won on a fluke play in overtime, the tip pass that Amari grabbed and ran in. But plays happen like that. The Cowboys, they are so close to having just the division locked up and having a playoff spot. It'll be hard for them to lose it at this point with everybody else in their division with a losing record. But they sit at 8-5. The Eagles are 6-7. Cowboys win 29-23. Next, the Raiders. The Raiders took down the Steelers. I heard something. Big Ben has never won in Oakland. I don't know if that's true or not. I apologize for not looking into it myself, but that was something I heard this week, and I said I really thought that was going to change. It didn't. Juju Smith-Schuster did all he could for the Steelers to try to help them win the game. 2 touchdowns. But the Raiders, they pick up a win. They're still going to be one of the top picks in the draft. They have 4 first-round picks now, 3, 4. They improved to 3-10. The Steelers 7-5-1. They're up and down, but still right in the thick of it of winning their division. I still think they're one of the better teams in the league. 7-5-1. All it takes is you making the playoffs. Ask Eli Manning. That's all it takes is you to make the playoffs. Derek Carr, no picks, 8 straight games. That's phenomenal. He's actually had a really good year this year. For the most part, they just can't win football games. But the Raiders, they improved to 3-10 and take out the Steelers 24-21. Next, the Bears, they proved what a lot of people were thinking. Get the Rams out of the nice warm environment. Put them in the cold. See how they'll do. They didn't do anything. They looked awful. They looked miserable. Goff, to me, it looked like he was missing something. It looked like he was holding back on some throws, like he was too cold to throw the football at times. Something just looked off. Obviously, the Bears' defense is phenomenal, and they know what they need to do offensively. They didn't have a great game offensively either, but they did enough. Their defense was just swarming. Todd Gurley had 70 total yards, I believe, only 20-something on the ground. They absolutely swarmed Todd Gurley. 4 picks by Jared Goff. The Bears, they're not a team you want to play, especially if you play them at home against that defense in that weather. in that setting. Luckily, the Rams have done well enough to this point. They're probably gonna hold playoff or hold home field till they got to go play New Orleans if they make it that far in the playoffs. But the New Orleans noise got to them last time. So, but the Rams they got beat down on the road by Chicago. It was 15-6, but Chicago, they didn't give up anything to the Rams offense at all. Use the home field advantage, use the weather factor, and beat up on the Rams 15-6. Bears are now 9-4. Rams are now 11-2. And then the Monday night game was a beatdown. This game was terrible for the Vikings. It was 6-0 for the longest time. It didn't look like anybody was going to score a touchdown. But finally, the Seahawks finally scored a couple touchdowns. One by Chris Carson, then the fumble recovery for a touchdown. And the Vikings scored a meaningless touchdown with like a minute and a half left to Dalvin Cook. Kirk Cousins, interesting tidbit like they have there, never won on Monday Night Football. So, if the Vikings want Kirk Cousins to win as many football games as possible, keep him off Monday night. That's really all you can say about that. But the Vikings are still in the playoff hunt at 6-1. The Seahawks, they're at 8-5. Obviously, they're playing for a wild card when they're in the division with the Rams. They're behind. They're behind, obviously. But the Seahawks, surprising to me, I didn't really think they'd win more than 6 or 7 games. But they're at 8 now, and they're right there for a playoff spot. The Vikings needed that game bad for a playoff spot, but there's still 3 games left. Yeah, 3 games left for everybody. That was the Monday night game. Seahawks beat up on the Vikings big time. 21-7 was the final in that football game. But that is all the games for Week 14. That was kind of my reaction, my thoughts, what happened. But that's it. I'll have my picks for Week 15 tomorrow for the NFL schedule. I will go ahead and say I went 8-8 last week. I was only 500. I went 100. I'm at 128-80 on the season. So didn't improve any. Got to fix that in Week 15. But that's all I wanted to say about Week 15 games. But this has been Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar. Look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.